Good morning, everybody. I am up early because I've got so many things to plant, and I think part of getting older is getting excited about really boring things, at least the things that your younger self would have thought was boring, like planting potatoes. I was prepping these potatoes for the last couple of weeks in the house, and they are sprouting. So by prepping, I mean chitting, and that is chitting. And when you chit potatoes, you actually just expose them to sunlight and let them sprout. So I had really small ones like this. I think these are called Upstate Abundance potatoes. I got them from Row 7 Seeds. And I purchased these in the grocery store at Whole Foods to eat in their produce department, and they were so good that I decided to plant some of them. So I put these into this little basket like this, and I just put them on my seed starting rack that I have my lights on. You could do it in a window too, and now they are sprouted. It took a couple weeks, and I'm going to plant them. So I'm putting them in their own separate bed because they deserve it. They are special. So that way I can just keep track of the varieties that I have this year. And this is all part of my trying to plant in blocks, single varieties in blocks this year goal that I have. I've also got some other potato varieties that I'm going to do too, but those will be going on the other side of the garden. So my jobs for today are planting the potatoes, planting the strawberries. I've got a little package of this mescaline mix that I need to put into that stock tank that I cleared out right there. And then the last thing that I'm going to do, if I have time, is plant my onions. And I've got a really funny story about this. I was actually worried I was late on planting the onions this year, so I was referring back to last year's video to see when I planted them, and I am just a week or two late. I think I planted them on November 25th last year, and today is December 5th, I think. So I'm a couple weeks late, but I don't think that it's going to matter too much. But I had to laugh when I was watching this clip. I'm going to let you watch it, and then we'll talk about it. I got 6 of these bundles, and I don't know what I was thinking. I think they're like 2 dozen each. And so multiply that by 6, and that is a lot of onions. So I've got 4 rows planted already on this side. I've got my phosphorus, my organic phosphorus in the trench. I'm going to cover that and put the onions on top. I always think I'm going to learn from my mistakes and not order too many things, but I always order too many of everything because I get a little excited and carried away when I'm ordering seeds and bulbs. So that is who I am, and I'm just going to embrace it and plant until I run out of daylight. So I made a commitment to myself that I was not going to over order onions this year because I ordered way too many. And yeah, that would be 4 bundles. 4 bundles that have like 2 dozen in each bundle, times 4, plus I have leeks coming. So I did not, in fact, order less. I did not improve. I still overdid it. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to try to plant as many as I can, and then I may just have to give some of them away. So that's all right. But next year, I'm going to refer to this video, and hopefully I will have learned my lesson and I will have ordered less onions. Do you think that's going to happen? I'm actually pretty skeptical. These are a really small potato, so I'm just planting the whole thing. These are about a little smaller than golf ball size. If you're planting regular sized potatoes, then you can cut them into sections. Just make sure they have 2 or 3 eyes in each section. And if you're gonna cut them, then just give them a day or so that they can callus over a little bit. That will help cut down on the rot potential if you put that cut potato into the ground. But for these, I'm just gonna do the whole thing. I've got this little bed cleared out right here, and unfortunately when I was clearing it out there was so much grass in here. You can see all the grass in this other bed next to it. It was just so crazy. I turned the water off and it's starting to die a little bit, so hopefully that'll be a little easier to clear out. When I was clearing the grass from this bed though, I accidentally cut the line. So this is just a small piece that goes to the shutoff valve here. It's probably hard to see, and over to this grid that I made. And so it won't be too hard to replace just that one little piece. It's about probably 16 or 18 inches long piece of black pipe that will connect it. So I'll have to do that later, but that's so annoying. It is chilly out here this morning. I think it is about 35 degrees, or at least it was this morning when I woke up, and it was around 5:30. I'm an early riser, but it's probably low 40s now, but it is still so chilly. I had to get my coat out and get these potatoes planted. So I think I can get all of these potatoes into this 4x4 bed, and I've done an extensive video on potatoes in the past, so I will link that below if you want to check that out. So it goes into a lot greater detail. I'm just going to hang out with you while I plant these today, but just as a shortcut, I like to do a trench method. So I will dig a trench about 6 to 8 inches deep, and I will place my potatoes in there, and then I'll cover them with about 4 inches of soil initially. And as they grow, I will mound that soil up just around the base of the plants just to keep them covered, because that is where the potatoes will form along the stem. So if you cover it up and keep them under the soil, then you'll get more potatoes, hopefully. So that is what I'm doing. I'm planting them in this trench, covering with 4 inches of soil, and I'm spacing them about 12 inches apart. So I figured we could just chat while I planted. I'm gonna cheat a little bit today. Instead of digging a trench, since it's a small space, I'm gonna dig down to the same depth. I can measure it with my Hori tool. This says it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is about probably 7 inches down. So I'm just gonna cheat and do that rather than dig a whole trench, and then I will measure, and that is about 12 inches, and I'm just gonna do it this way. I'm gonna cover these potatoes because potatoes can be really frost sensitive sometimes. So I'm just gonna put my hoops up and put a cover over them once I'm finished with planting them. These were really good roasted. I just roasted them with a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of sea salt, pepper, a little bit of garlic, and they were so good. Very, I would say, kind of creamy on the inside. So I really liked them. If you haven't checked out Row 7 Seeds, I think you should check them out. They are just a partnership between chefs and plant breeders who try to develop cultivars that are for flavor and for certain textures and for certain characteristics. So it is a partnership between the farmer, the chef, and the plant breeder, and I think that is a really unique thing, and they have developed some very cool varieties. I really like their coconut squash, and that's super good, and they've got several other things that I like too, so check them out for sure. He's so cute. I'm just gonna tuck him in down there, and I won't cover him completely. I'm just gonna add 4 inches of soil on top. I don't wanna do it too deeply, and then I will start mounding it up as we go. Plant my nasturtium seeds before I put the cover on those potatoes, so I had to go grab the seeds. These are just some that I saved from my garden last year, so I like to put either flowers or herbs or both along the front and the back border of all of my beds. Even though I am only doing a single variety in each bed, I still like to have just a few flowers because it's pretty. That's all right. I will just unclip the front and I will plant these seeds. That is not too big of a deal. Look at those. I think nasturtium seeds look like little brains. I'm just gonna put them about every 6 inches, and then they will be very pretty for sure. Just cover that back up, tuck them back in, and we should be good to go. I use these spring clamps along with
these little bendable, reusable wire hoops from Johnny's. They're very simple, and you probably noticed when I was putting it on, but this row cover has definitely seen better days. This is gonna be the last winter that I use this, but I think the potatoes will be all right. If I'm really worried about this, I could just put a little clothespin on here and button it up. That's some good Midwestern values right there, hanging out, just trying to use things up. I can't help myself. My mama would be proud. I actually had just enough potatoes. It was as if I planned it perfectly, which I did not. Now I'm gonna plant my strawberries. I've got a few that came up just from last season. I had a couple that I planted earlier, like a month or two ago, and I thought that they were dead, and they weren't. They actually are coming back, so I'm gonna show you that, and then we are gonna plant these strawberries. So this is what the strawberries looked like that I planted in September, which is the proper time to plant strawberries. But you can see here that it's actually coming back, and that's the case for this one too. This one actually looks really dead, but it feels like it might be alive. So I'm gonna leave that there just in case. But yeah, they're all kind of making a comeback, which is good. But I'm gonna go ahead and plant these new ones, and then I'm gonna cover them because I also think maybe they're not liking some of the cold. I'm not sure. So I ordered this entire bag of strawberries from Gurney's, and I will put the name of the variety on the screen because right now I can't remember. Oh wait, there's a tag on here. Let's see if I can see what it is. Chandler. They're Chandler strawberries, which is a really good variety. So it feels like some of them are a little gloopy because I forgot them in my house in a box for like 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm a terrible plant mom. So some of them are a little bit gloopy, but I am going to salvage what I can and try to correct the error of my ways here, and we'll see what we end up getting. But from the looks of my other strawberries, I think I'm a pretty negligent strawberry grower, so don't follow me for strawberry tips. So I have the stock tank completely cleaned out. I took out the basil. I'm gonna take out the irrigation line and just sort of even out the soil. And then I'm gonna be sprinkling this gourmet spicy mix. It's a mesclun mix. I'm gonna just put that in here. That is going to be super easy. And then of course I will cover that with row covers too, because the birds don't like me to have nice things. I was really excited to find that so far there are no signs of the root knot nematode in these round stock tanks, which is a relief because I've been trying to be really careful with not using the same tools in all of these stock tanks, since some of them have the root knot nematodes and some of them don't, and I don't want to infect the other tubs that don't have it, obviously. So when I pulled up the tomato plants and the basil, I checked really well and I saw no signs of it, which is good. I'm not going to top this bed with compost this fall because I enriched it with compost, a really nice layer of it, in the spring before I planted the tomatoes. And since I'm going to be planting these leafy greens, these are not going to require much in the form of nutrients. So I'm just going to wait and top this with compost in the spring before I plant some of my hungrier plants. It'll save some money and time too. So that's what I'm doing. Sometimes I really love just sprinkling in some mixed seeds because it gives me a really pretty spring mix that I can just come out and get without having to buy those boxes at the store, because I never use all of those boxes up, really. They're just not as good. They get pushed to the back of the fridge. I forget that they're there, and then I find a big box of slime. So it's just really nice in the wintertime not to have to worry about that too much. You know, if I don't get to this in time and it gets bitter, I can always just pull it up and put it in the compost, and then it will add to the soil. But for the most part, since it's so good and so fresh, I can just eat my weight in this all winter long. So most of it does not go to waste. It's just a mix of lots of different kinds of lettuces. I just sprinkled this around lightly, and then I'm just gonna barely cover it. I'll probably just run my gloves over the surface of the soil just to make sure that it is pressed in and slightly covered. On the seed packet, this says 1/8 of an inch, which is not very deep. But I wanted to tell you about the mix that's in here because it's pretty cool. So it's got other greens like arugula, endive, and mizuna. It has several different kinds of lettuces. It has tango, royal oak, red salad bowl, red sales, and black seeded Simpson. So this is basically like the spring mix that you get at the store, but it's a lot cheaper. So I paid $1.89 for this packet of seeds, and this is going to provide me with all the mixed spring mix that I need for the entire winter for 2 people. And it was dated for 2020, but for the most part I find that I have pretty good success, pretty good germination even still with older seed. I just have to sow a little bit extra just to account for the fact that some of it may not germinate as well as it would if it were not as old. So if you have old seed, I would say just go ahead and plant it. Most of the time it germinates really well. All right, so I gotta replace this irrigation line and put it back down where it was, but I can't do that with one hand. I'm gonna cover this right away with a row cover, and then I will be finished with this task too. I talk about these all the time just because people ask me about them so often. So I'm going to link them down below. They're from Johnny's, and I will put them in the description box in case you want to try them. I've been using these for like 4 years, and I just keep reusing them. They look brand new. I love them because you can see over my shoulder behind me. I can put them in the garden, in my beds there, in both the long beds and the 4x4 beds. I can put them in my circular shaped stock tanks. I can put them in my oval shaped stock tanks like this, and they just fit wherever because they're so flexible. So I love these so much. I am just building like a little dome. So I have 2 started here, one on this side and then one on that side. And I'm just gonna add a couple more so that it creates like a little cage, and then I can put my row cover on it. All right, that's what it looks like when it's finished. I just kind of added them here and there, just like slicing a pie, just into 1/8, I guess, is what it would be, maybe. And so now I'm going to put the row cover on. I just use these spring clamps, but if you don't have spring clamps, you can use clothespins. I do that all the time when I run out of these, and they work really well. And I will just clip them right on the wire. I'll put them here and there, and then I'll have myself a little protected dome, safe from the birdies and from any frost or anything like that that could get my lettuce. So I put them on this stock tank. This is the oval shaped one. It is 2 feet across and 4 feet long, and they just fit right in. I do 3 on these, and it works really, really well. And so if you don't have these, you might want to try checking these out because they are relatively affordable, I think, especially when it comes to being able to reuse them year after year after year. I am just feeling so productive right now. I've got my strawberries done. I've got my lettuce mix planted. I have my potatoes planted. So the only thing left that I have to do is that huge bundle of onions that I've got. And for that, of course, there's a job in front of it that I have to do. I'll show you that. It's this last long row. This is a 30-foot row, and I had turned the water off on this side. That's why it looks so gross. But I need to clear all of this out, and I need to clear out these tomatoes on this side. Water's still on over here because I need this bed for those onions, and I think I'm gonna put them over here. So I'm not gonna make you watch me rip all of that out for the next couple of hours. That's gonna be a big job, so just take my word for it. And if I remember when I'm editing this video, I will add in the finished results so that you can see my onions planted. I really do not feel like doing this right now because it is such a daunting task, but if I don't, my onion starts are gonna die, and I don't want to waste the money, and I don't want them to die. I want to have my onions planted, so I'm just going to tackle this job, not think about it. I think I'm gonna put on an audiobook. I like doing that when I have a really big job in the garden. That way it keeps my mind busy and distracted so that I don't think so much about the discomfort that I'm experiencing.
I have to head into the house and get cleaned up because I have to write my newsletter. It's coming out tomorrow morning, so I want to make sure I am on time with that for you all. If you haven't subscribed to that yet, I will leave the link down below for that. I just talk about garden happenings. Sometimes I share a favorite book or a recipe or what I'm harvesting or just whatever is going on in the garden. So if you want to keep up with all of that, you can sign up for that below. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope you all are having a really happy Saturday. I may be publishing this on Sunday actually, so whatever day you see it, I hope it is a happy one. I'm Kara from So Arizona. Thank you so much for hanging out with me again in the garden. Until next time, happy gardening.